Y'all see this Pee Wee thing that's going on? Let me read an article real quick. Grab your pots and pans, it's time to cook. Don't forget the spatula. So now, this Atlanta thing is getting out of hand. This Atlanta thing is getting out of hand. When I seen this, I said, what? PB Longway arrested. Let me read the article. This is from Complex right here. If y'all don't know who PB Longway is, right? This is trending topic that's going on right now. But we will make a lesson out of this one. The do's and don'ts and the drug game and everything else. Is it even worth it? Ask yourself this question. On today's time, right, it's fast money, right? Unlegitimately, right, or illegally, is it even worth it anymore? Because yeah, you can have a run and make millions of dollars. Millions. Right? You might do it fast, you might do it extremely quick, outside of the norm, right? But they say the faster you make is the faster it go, right? If you don't have any type of financial skills or anything along that nature. And if you playing the street game, you already know you got to play a certain type of way. But let me read this article from Complex. Pee Wee Longer reportedly among 101 people arrested in $280 million drug bust. My God, $280 million drug bust? 100 people arrested? Now he's an AKA, allegedly, hypothetically, a Crip, right? So he's part of a gang. And they're gonna make an example out of him. If he don't tell, they're gonna make an example out of him, right? PB Longway has reportedly been arrested alongside 101 people in connection to a massive drug bust involving millions of dollars in Georgia. Now, we all know Georgia is on fire right now from the YSL trial, from Little Woody, from Fannie Willis, from Trump. Atlanta is on fire right now. It's on fire. They can't get a break every other week or something. Every other week. But let's continue. On Friday, Muskogee County Sheriff Greg Countryman announced in a press conference that his department has arrested 101 people and seized millions of dollars in drugs, guns, and cash. My God. The hit was known as Operation Sweet Silence. That's one hell of a... The operation name was Operation Sweet Silence. It took place on Thursday. So it's just, when things happen, you got to let the internet digest it. You might hear about it a day or two later. The internet is generally delayed, right? It's generally delayed. It's not real time. You got to go live, which means it takes a couple of seconds to go live. The operation started 2 years ago when... Hold on. The operation started 2 years ago when officers plotted to take down street gangs in Columbus. What? So that FBI been watching this man for 2 years? Oh no, it's over for Atlanta. It's over for Atlanta because everybody connected to Pee Wee. Everyone's connected to Pee Wee from Gucci, for Gucci Brother, from all the up and coming rappers. They all have connection to Pee Wee. So it's like, whoo. Allegedly, hypothetically, was he supplying the city? My God. My God. But let's continue. On the ground, over 250 agents and analysis from the federal, local, and state agencies. They got all three bureaus on you. Federal, local, and state agencies and 7 SWAT teams swarmed the streets of Columbus to apprehend the multiple individuals who were considered armed and dangerous. Let me read some comments real quick. RizMan44, got tax. Hey, what's going on? I say something to you. Hey, what's going on? What's going on? How you doing? But let's continue. The drugs that were taken included 7.1 kilos of fentanyl. It's over. They're going to throw them underneath the jail off of this one. And this goes to show, right? This is for the younger generation. See, people think glamorizing maybe uh, the sexualizing women or glamorizing drugs or glamorizing pimps and glamorizing prostitutes, right? I'm saying it to say we were programmed to think that way, right? And you can date it all the way back to look at the first movie that came out in theaters when at least I do my research, right? When movies was 50 cents, and it was beyond my lifetime. I didn't grow up in that lifetime. But when movies was 50 cents, and then they changed it to $1.50, and you couldn't, people used to stay in the movies and let it roll over to the next movie. So they say, you know what, we're missing out on a lot of money. This was the new Hollywood. So what they did was they decided to say, you know what, when we run a movie on those Thursdays and Sundays, right? And look it up yourself. When you run those movies on Thursdays and Sundays, because they always had two cartoons coming out and one type of film back in the day, maybe the 1960s, 1970s, right? 1980s. They used to run so now what they did was they changed the regulations. You can no longer stay in the movie and wait for it to replay again. You had to go, you had to get a ticket, and $1.50 back then, right, is $40 today. Like $1.50 back in the days is equals to $40 in today's value. That goes to show you that the dollar has devalued so much. So what you had 40 years ago is 0 to nothing now. And or if you was on the right side of thing, it multiplied 40x or 30x, right? But I'm making a connection and making a point. One of the first movies that they decided to show was Superfly. They did a remake of this movie. People don't even know the history of this movie, Superfly. They did a remake of this movie in the 2000s or whatever. But when it first came out, it glorified drugs, especially in the black community, right? It glorified drugs, prostitution, pimps. So think about your parents, their parents, and their grandparents and all of that. They grew up seeing those movies. So everyone wanted to be that. You wanted to have a pinky ring with a watch on. It means that you're pimping, you're macking, whatever it is, right? So I'm saying to say, these are the things that was taught to a certain class of people, and people was making a lot of money off these things, right? So I'm not surprised why it's glamorized and over glorified in today's world. I'm just giving you a history lesson, right? I'm not surprised why it's glamorized and glorified in today's world, but it doesn't mean that it's right, because think about it. Right? Where have those things gotten us as far as a community in the last 50, 60, 70 years? Absolutely nowhere. Who made money off of it? The people that produced it. Hollywood, the big businesses, XYZ. Can we talk about it? That's just a quick history lesson. I'm going to leave a link down below to let y'all know where to find the sourcing of this at, right? In fact, Judge Joe Brown, he actually spoke about this. He actually spoke about this on one of his talking points. So that's one reference right there. Check out Judge Joe Brown. Let's continue. This is the bus right here now. The drugs that were taken included 77.1 kilos of fentanyl, 57.21 kilos of cocaine. My God, can you say Scarface or Griselda? Can you say cartel? Anyway, 5,000, what? 55,248 pounds of marijuana, right? And marijuana, that's legal, XYZ, but to have that much and illegally distributed, that's a whole nother thing, right? You have 1.3 kilograms of heroin. What in the world? The Moscow County, the Muskogee County, if I butchered y'all county, my bad. County Sheriff's Office claimed that the total value of the drugs seized was over 200 million. There's no official word on Longway's role in the bust, but several reports stated that he was arrested among the 101 suspect. If you have 101 people watching you and knowing what you do, it's a chance that states that 101 people might tell on you, especially in today's world. So you have a possibility of 100, well, let's just say he's included in that 101. 100 people that's around you If they get apprehended, 9 times out of 10 they're gonna tell. Especially if they don't have no morals, no principles, or if they just gotta do what they gotta do. Or they're selfish or greedy or whatever. Sheriff Greg Countryman called an end of a gang activity in Columbus and issued a warning to anyone still participating in offensive and violent crimes. Now let's take this to TikTok because we got to see some visuals. That's crazy to me. 100. It's over. It's over. It's over. It's over. And another thing too, these guys, these street guys, well, I don't know why they became rappers. I get it, maybe you want to hide your money and stuff like that, but you also publicizing what you're doing on the back end. You should have never been a rapper. If you that deep in the street, why rap? You should be quiet as a mouse. You should be quiet as a mouse. You shouldn't say anything at all. Because every time they go on Vlad TV or all these other podcasts, right, that may not have their best interests, allegedly, hypothetically, supposedly, a couple of years later, they ask them those questions. A couple of years later, they end up getting apprehended. But watch this.
A lot of people start to hustle early. Like, how old were you when you first started hustling?
I wasn't hustling, man. I was a school guy, man. Going to school, handling my business, man.
You were 100% legal? You were good?
Yeah.
Look at the type of question they're asking it. Like, what side of the table are you working for? Vlad? You know, it goes to show, to me, everything looks like a setup, man. Because not supporting them, because you got to think about it. You know how many people died off fentanyl? People died off fake perk pills. People died off all these things, right? So the question would then be, and I don't wish jail upon nobody, right? Like, that's the weakest thing. I don't wish jail upon nobody, right? But do he deserve to be there? Because think about the death, right? And that's for the comment to react to, right? Because can we hold him accountable? And if so, how shall we hold him accountable? If that's one of, let's just say your daughter or your son, and they may have a drug problem, and they may be getting things from him, allegedly, hypothetically, supposedly, right? And they end up dying, right? Who's held accountable? So I think this investigation is going to go deep because you don't know how many people died from either the linkage to him and or from that product itself, which is no good. And then the question is, if he was serving an undercover, got served by an undercover, somebody was telling, right? Who bought the drugs there? Because people not talking about that. I'm a critical thinker. It just don't appear out of nowhere. Somebody had to make sure that it got there, right? Who? Which organization, right? Which alphabet? Who? Because it's the snake eating its tail. It's like a trap. Maybe that's why they call it that. But let's continue.
Doing everything by the book.
Doing it by the book, man. Make sure it happens.
Okay. You know? And, you know, growing up...
Look at the type of question he's asking them.
You know, growing up in that type of environment, a lot of people start to hustle early. Like, how old were you when you first started hustling?
I wasn't hustling, man. I was a school guy, man. Going to school, handling my business, man, you know?
You 100%?
You try to deflect and sideswipe that question so fast because he's a street guy. He already know, hey, I don't even know why I'm on here, but I'm signed with Empire and this music stuff, so you know you got to stay relevant. I doubt if he wanted to do that.
Enforcement partners held a news conference regarding a large seizure of drugs, money, and guns made Thursday morning. WRBL's Michelle Jennings attended the news conference. She joins us now with more details. Michelle.
Teresa, the seizure made on Thursday was part of a 2-year-long operation called Sweet Silence. This was an investigation into alleged illegal activities of the Zohannan and Crips criminal street gang involving drug trafficking. Muskogee County sheriffs say 126 search warrants were issued. Law enforcement successfully seized nearly $280 million of drugs, including heroin, cocaine, meth, and fentanyl. Guns and cash were also seized, as well as nearly $280,000 of U.S. currency. Operation Sweet Silence made a total of 101 arrests, 31 of those being in Columbus.
I'll stand here today knowing Columbus and the surrounding areas are much safer than they were prior to yesterday's operation. Operation Sweet Silence was a joint effort by the FBI Southwestern Georgia Gang Task Force to stop the wave of violent crime, including homicides, shootings, and other crimes that have swept across our community because of the Zohannan and other neighborhood-based gangs that are operating in the Columbus area.
Many
Enforcement partners held a news conference.
Yo, to all you rappers in the South, ain't no more big boys in the streets. So the feds got to indict y'all. They got to indict y'all. To take these cases to the grand jury, these old fabricated cases with the trumped up amount of D, they got to add y'all to this, right? And let me tell y'all something, right? I need to see the picture, the 100-man indictment that Pee Wee Longway is under. I need to see the pictures of all the individuals. Somebody inbox me that or message me that, right? I need to see the pictures of everybody, right? And y'all need to see them. And because somebody gonna say, what my baby daddy doing in there? He on child support. He can't even pay his child support. And he caught up in a $200 million indictment. And it's fabricated. It's totally fabricated. The amount and the value of what they come up with, that's fabricated.
That could be true.
I'm gonna say it again. People gonna get convicted for that. It's gonna stick. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna paint this picture. You know what I mean? So it's really gonna stick. So what I want to say about the young dudes in the hood is that you got some young guys in the hood that they just want to be big time for however brief. You know what I mean? They self-esteem so shot, so low.
Like 15 minutes of fame, man. 15 minutes of this, 15 minutes of that. You live your life to just 15 minutes, and then in a matter of an hour, everything's gone. I'll take the slow route. See, y'all gotta understand, it's a reason why in school or in this doctrine or this programming thing, right? It's a reason why they told you about the turtle in the head. See, and that story never left me. The head, he want to do things super fast, real fast, right? And yeah, he might get to the finish. He might get close to the finish line, but did he really finish? Y'all seen what the turtle did. The turtle took his time. He did what he had to do. He had his eyes on the prize. He set his goal. He decided to rest, sleep, get some rest. The head kept going. The head kept going so much he was tired. By the time the head looked up and woke up, the turtle had already crossed the finish line. See, it's a grand lesson in this to say sometimes it's good to get slow, legal money. If you can make legal money fast, speed it up. If it's legal, speed it on up. Scale it up. I'm all for that, right? But it goes to show, yeah, he had millions, right? But now he's 40 years old looking up like, I did this run for 20, almost 10 years, right? Or however long you've been running, right? Was it worth it? Like, that's the ultimate question. Was it worth it? Now, if he wanted to set out to wanted to be the biggest guy in the world, right? Then maybe it was worth it to him. It could be subjective. Maybe he knew that's what he signed up for, and when he signed up for being part of a gang member, then that's what it is. But for the people that's not in that situation, that's looking at it from a television screen or a phone or anything along that nature, because this is going to influence the youth to say, hey, do we want to go that route? Because the real Pee Wee Longway actually went the same route. So I just see history repeating itself. See, that Longway name is a historic name, if you look it up. It's the same thing that happened. The biggest drug dealer XYZ, but then he got apprehended. Ain't no point of being big if you're gonna get caught. There's no point. How big are you? It just shows how small you were. There's no point. But let's continue.
Yo, you tell
Detail items taken off the streets thanks to a special detail that culminated Thursday in Muskogee County.
Law enforcement call it Operation Sweet Silence, which was a 2.5 years in the making, aimed at taking down gang members and cutting crime. News at 9's Catrice Nolan joins us live in our newsroom tonight with more on this takedown.
Catrice, we understand multiple local, state, and federal agencies involved in this operation.
That's right, several agencies involved, and this is the number. Over $279 million in street value of what they seized, and the FBI, the GBI.
Now we know that all these numbers are actually, they're gonna put some type of fabrication on these numbers, right? They're gonna put some street value on these numbers. They're gonna say, well, hey, if he bought it wholesale, we know it's less. We're gonna say that it's more because he could sell each gram for the max amount. So that's what they basing their numbers on. Who's to really know this $290-something million? My thing is, how do you come up with those numbers? How do you really come up with those numbers? That may have been the profit that you thought he would make, but what if he just made it probably 100 million, right? How do you really know? There's no way to know that, but I'm saying they're putting all this extra glamification on it because they want it to stick. And like the guy said, I would like to see, and these 101 people, right? I honestly would like to see the whole lineup. But we all know the lineup will be fabricated too because intel, somebody had a tail or XYZ. So of course their photo's not gonna be in it. You get what I'm saying? Slippery slope, slippery game.
The DEA and others all work together for Operation Sweet Silence. Now, the sheriff says although they took more than 2.5 years moving in silence, the takedown was seen and heard across the Chattahoochee Valley.
Yes.
These are the mugshot and faces of some of the people just arrested in the Columbus area through what they are calling Operation Sweet Silence. The multi-agency takedown has been planned for more than 2 years. Muskogee County Sheriff says it took overtime hours to put that many people behind bars.
The Muskogee County Sheriff's Office has worked in lockstep.
You know what? This is going to be public data, right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to do my research and I'm going to do a part 2 or part 3 to this and keep y'all updated with this. I'm going to go in the court's document and find out exactly the names of the individual that they indicted and everything else because we got to get to the bottom of this one. It's going down in history as one of the biggest. That man cartel, I'm sure he messed with the Mexicans. I'm sure he do. He got to be part of the cartel. He has to be. That's the only thing that makes sense. How are you getting that much stuff organized like that? And we all know, right? The Mexicans don't mess with you. They for them. So when it comes time to clip you, they will clip you just to make sure they climb up the tree. A very slippery game. But let's continue.
FBI and the DEA to go after some very dangerous gang members of the Zohan gang, members of the Crips.
District Attorney Don Kelly telling us that gang activity has led to high homicide rates in Muskogee County.
We've seen the homicide rate more than double because of gangs, and we are going to continue to target gangs.
19 of the suspects facing federal charges, 12 of those cases being prosecuted locally. The drugs and other illegal weapons seized in these operations have a street value of $279 million, something the U.S. Attorney's Office says was a large amount for this area.
This was a major operation, one of the largest, I think, in Columbus history, and it was, the point is to really target folks who are doing the most damage in the community.
Spilling the drugs and crime into other areas like Harris and Russell counties.
When it affects one person, we know these criminals don't stop at the county line.
And law enforcement is not silent about their warning for criminals.
We have 4 words for those individuals who think that they can set up shop in Muskogee County. Not on our watch.
I heard it. Not on our watch.
Pee-wee, your ass should have took the long way to success. Huh? Pee-wee, your ass should have took the long way to success. If y'all not aware of the situation, Atlanta feds just ran down on Pee-wee Longway and 100 other co-conspirators in an indictment of the Crips gang in Atlanta. In other words, in black people terminology, September the 13th, which was Friday the 13th, he was having his bad day. Amen. Word
contraband. And the stuff that they're breaking it down to, Brody ain't never seen the light of day. Amen. Now, this is not like the YSL case. They sent out over 250 agents to conduct this sweep, and it was over 7 SWAT teams. So they really mean business with this. And it's the feds this time, not the state. As if that wasn't enough, they named this operation Operation Sweet Silence. And ain't shit about it sweet to me. Amen. Now, we always talk about how in the YSL case, it's no evidence or anything like that. This is a whole different thing. When the feds pick you up, it's a real issue. Yep. I'm praying for Pee Wee and his family. I hope he get through this. But this is something that's record breaking right now, and it's all over the airwaves. Y'all know I'm gonna keep up with it now.
Atlanta gonna be on fire because think about it, right? It's sad to say, but if those people don't have their drugs, oh my God, y'all gotta think about it. This is a cause and effect thing. Atlanta's about to be on fire. On that note, I'm gonna keep y'all updated to that, man. This is a message to go for the kids and for the youth and all of that. Don't glorify all these things, man. Dude, find some things that you're passionate about, right? That's legal, right? Find a way how to scale it and add value to it and see how you can extract some type of value from it or add value into it, right? Because it's no point in you going that route, obviously. Even if you're great at it, even if you think you won't get caught. Nowadays, it's actually impossible not to get caught. It's actually impossible. So don't go with the narrative, pimp, hoes, drugs, prostitute, the whole narrative, right? That's basic, right? Creatively find something to do. Creatively figure out what you want to do and your imprint, what you want to leave on this world, on this earth. After you're done with it, right? And make sure there's something positive, right? Not nothing negative. On that note, peace, blessings, and love. Tell a friend to tell a friend. This is the beginning. This is not the end. Another episode of the Healthy Discussion Show.